Welcome back to Things of Gold, a Snarky Puppy podcast by Storm Sound and Osiris Media. I'm Ryan Storm.
And I'm Megan Gliona, and I'm here with Mr. Young Stuff himself. Ryan, this should be like your new nickname.
When did you come up with that one?
Well, I was listening to the show.
Yeah.
I didn't put
pretty
in
good.
My notes though to trick you.
You didn't want me to know that before. That's fun. Well, we're back for episode 4 of the series. We are here with our final show of this kind of first era of the band that we're covering. This 2015, very improvisational, very aggressive era for their live sound. The show we are covering today, we're going to talk about in a second. But Megan, how are you feeling 4 episodes into this?
I'm feeling great. I feel like I'm starting to really get an understanding of the Snarky Puppy sound. I'm going to finally see them in 2 days just to tell everybody when we're recording. I know. So it's really cool. I love hearing how different so many of the songs can sound from even just a few days later. I think that's what's kind of blowing me away the most is the variety and how they take these songs in different places every day. It's incredible. I mean, the level of musicianship is just really off the charts. So it's been really great. And just wanted to thank everybody who's been reaching out with feedback. It's been really nice to hear from people, especially give a shout out to my brother-in-law, who's the first person who told me about Snarky Puppy. And he's been sending me lots of great feedback. And I want to let him and everybody else know that we're going to try to get into some of the stuff that people are bringing up to us. So we're looking forward to kind of digging in deeper to the history of Snarky Puppy and the musicians. So that's on the horizon. So we're excited about that.
Yeah. Reach out to us. Let us know what your favorite tracks are from shows, the bonus tracks, anything that comes to mind when you listen. And thank you for listening, of course.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes. So I also this is the first episode that we're recording where I have actually seen the band live. I saw them last week in Buffalo. It was unbelievable. I had the best time. So much fun to experience it live finally. So now I actually have cred to talk about their live shows because I've now seen them live. So
you do.
Megan, you'll finally have cred in the next episode.
I can't wait. I can't wait for that. But your experience was great. You did some rig tours, right?
I did. I got some rig tours done with Sean, with Bob Lanzetti, and with JT. Very happy with those. Those will be coming out on the Storm Sound YouTube channel over the next few weeks. So Look for those coming soon. And of course, I will continue to accumulate rig tours as I see the band more until the goal is to get all 19 of them someday.
Yes, you can do it. You know why I love these rig tours that you do? Because you also get this inside look at their personality too, the musicians.
Right.
Like, I think it's really fun how that kind of comes through. It's really great because you learn about obviously their rig and the instruments they're playing with, but it's really cool to learn about who they are and kind of see, their jokes, their sense of humor, their personality. It's really great.
Right. It's great. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Everyone check those out if you haven't. So let's talk a little bit about, before we get into talking about the show that we're talking about today, but let's talk about a little bit about the background around the show. We have gone just short of a month past the last show. We are here on November 22nd, 2015 in Seattle, Washington. Very unique lineup, very unique sound. This is unfortunately the last show where we will see Sput in this series. And the only, no, just kidding. One of 2 shows in the series with 2 guitars in the lineup, but the only one with this 2 guitar configuration.
Oh, and I loved the 2 guitar lineup in the show. Yeah.
And this is also the only show with 1 keyboardist. This is a very cool lineup. 2 guitars, 2 tenor saxes, 1 keyboardist. I'll do the lineup now because I'm talking about the lineup a lot, I think. We've got Sput on the drums, Nate Werth percussion, Justin Stanton keyboards and trumpet, Mike Maher, of course, trumpet, flugelhorn, and vocals. It was listed in the show notes, but I don't think he sang on this show at all. Chris Bullock, tenor sax and flute, Bob Reynolds, tenor sax, Bob Lanzetti and Mark Lettieri on the guitar, Michael League on the bass. So, Megan, your thoughts on the overall sound of this gig?
Yeah, really cool. Really, this was the first show that I wasn't totally, completely focused on the percussion. I felt like the horns and the guitars were standing out a lot more to me than, they always stand out, but I was just kept finding myself following their sound in a way that I hadn't yet. And I really liked how some of the sounds they were doing were like super interesting, just really different effects. I thought they have some really interesting moments that didn't sound like anything I'd heard from them before. And I cannot believe there's one keyboardist. I mean, he must have been so busy. Like he was doing so much. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
Justin's
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. It's like, wow. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
amazing. I thought the show was great. I really liked it. A lot of really strong moments, I thought.
I love it. We've got 2 Bobs on this show. So we'll have to call them by their full name or their last
Oh, yeah.
name.
Yeah. I'm really excited about the addition of Bob Reynolds. I'm excited to talk about him.
Yeah,
He's amazing. Yeah.
What I
It'll be
love
fun.
also about the 2 saxes being in this lineup is when they're playing horn parts, there's more low end because of 2 saxes as opposed to multiple trumpets and only 1 sax. And Bob has a lot of low end in his tone, and so it kind of beefs up the sound a little bit. So I love the way that is. And,
yeah, it's really well rounded.
Yeah. We get a little out there. Before we dive into the show, Megan, you did some Brian Brinkman level research on the venue.
Yeah, I was interested in this venue because I was like, what is the Neptune Theatre in Seattle? I've actually never been to Seattle. I'm interested in the Pacific Northwest. And so I looked into the theater and it was pretty cool. It was opened in 1921. It's got a capacity of 1,000. For most of its kind of lifetime, it was used for hosting screenings of classic films until 2011, and then it was renovated. It stayed afloat in the 70s by showing Rocky Horror Picture Show. Ryan, have you ever seen Rocky Horror Picture Show?
I have not.
Okay, you need to change that. It's a real cultural touchstone. And apparently it was one of the 4 movie theaters in the country that showed this for the longest. They showed it every week for 14 years.
Wow.
It's amazing, right?
It's a long
It was
time.
like such an event. I mean, I remember I was into theater when I was in high school. So this is something weird theater people do is like dress up and go to see Rocky Horror Picture Show. So this really struck a chord with me. But it was designated a landmark in 2014. And when it was renovated in 2011, it became a concert space too. So I would love to see a show in this theater. It seems really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems amazing. I think Goose played there last year. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, last February. You should come, if you want to see Seattle, Goose is playing there in a week and a half. I'll be there.
I mean, I think we've already talked about this on Twitter,
Next
Ryan.
week.
I have tried to get myself into this trip with you.
Unfortunately, though, this isn't the Storm Sound Goose podcast, which, those episodes are longer than this one. But let's stay on topic here, or as on topic as we can, and let's dive into the show. We start off with Kite. You immediately, it is evident that there is an extra tenor sax in the lineup. Sounds amazing. And, Justin showing off immediately with a beautiful Rhodes solo after, of course, Maz takes a very nice one on flugelhorn, very clean. It's very laid back. I like a Kite opener. It's kind of...
Yeah.
I love a straw man opener, and I also love a Kite opener. They're like very opposite ways to start the show, but I think they work very, very well. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it kind of eases you in. There's like this melancholy intro, and the horns just sound so smooth. And when the drums kick in, it is just so satisfying. And then I love that it's just kind of like the Justin and Michael, you've got that kind of those 2 playing against each other. And I love, love, love when this band gets quiet. really magical. And I've talked about it before, but when a band that can get so big gets quiet, it's super powerful. And they do that quite a few times in this show, and it's super, super, super effective. I love this way to start the show. It eases you in. There's a really nice build to the end of the song. The drums just absolutely get after it. And there's just this beautiful ending with this like perfect, long, sustained note. It's really lovely.
Yeah, we get the full Sput and Nate pairing in this, the Ghost Note pairing, which I was very lucky to see live this past September.
No way. What was that like?
They're amazing. I saw them, at the Rex Hotel in Toronto, which is like a legendary jazz bar. Snarky Puppy played there like 10 years ago. But yeah, they're a really, really, really fun band, just in your face funk. And seeing the two of them, play drums together up close was crazy.
I mean, it's just a percussion band, right? Is it just
the
two of them?
I don't know what Michael meant by it in
that.
this show when he said it's a all percussion band. But no, they've got keys, bass, guitar, horns, vocals, like whole thing. They do a lot of covers, funk songs. So
that sounds
a lot of fun.
I think I would really like that. Do they still tour ever?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
I just saw them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. And then from Kite, we move into Bent Nails. This one, we see this is the first Bent Nails on the pod, I believe.
Yeah,
actually,
first time I've heard it. Mm-hmm.
This is the first one. We were looking at this. This and Young Stuff, which we will get to later in the episode, have a similar kind of structure where there's this more aggressive and faster first half of the song, and then a more laid back second half. So I love, the way this starts. You hear the dual guitars. Shout out to, I believe, it's Nick Hard who mixed these shows. He kind of put Lanzetti in your left ear and Lettieri in your right ear. So you can very easily distinguish, their two guitar sounds by which direction it's coming from. And they're feeling great together.
Oh my God. The mix on this show, I don't know a lot about audio mixing, but it is so perfect. Even I can tell. It's just all the levels just sound so right. Like everybody sounds exactly where you want to hear them.
It's amazing. And Maz takes a second solo of the night already. This time, complete opposite of his very gentle, clean Kite flugelhorn solo. He goes in on the effects. The show notes actually just say that Bullock takes the solo here and completely overlooks that Maz takes a really great effective trumpet solo here. So both of them, great showing. And, Justin's comping on Rhodes during these horn solos is, again, just amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that the crowd is so into this, and it's like such a nice up-tempo change after Kite. I really like this song. The drum solo breakdown then is just incredible. I mean, like it's so funky, and then everybody comes in like really softly, kind of one by one. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then we get on the back half, the jazzier section, solo section. We get Mark just unleashing an incredible jazz guitar solo. You have this very Mark Lettieri vibe for a lot of it, with the more rock and roll, with the funk. That heavy rhythm guitar that we talked about a lot in episode 2. But you also have these these moments of just pure jazz in his solo, and that's also due to what Sput's doing. He gets into this real swing with the groove here. It also feels at times like Mark's playing like a flood intro over this solo, which is just like super spacey, lots of atmosphere to it. So, but yeah, I loved this version.
Yeah, I really like this section. It's so cool. The horns come back in and it's really playful. And then you hear the guitar just start to like poke out. And it's super delicate. It's really high. It's so patient. It just builds up into this like, and then it starts to build to this like really nice rock and roll vibe. Like it's really cool. I love this song. I think it's a great, great song.
And then next up, we got our second outlier of the series and our grand introduction to Bob Reynolds on the sax.
This kind of shook me. We were texting.
You weren't ready for it. You were not ready for it.
I was not expecting it. I just like, you know, Michael introduces it like, this is a song Justin wrote for We Like It Here. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know Outlier. And then does he intro Bob Reynolds? I don't know, but there's just, he intros him, right?
It's going to feature Bob who joined the band at the time of the We Like It Here recording, but hadn't toured with them, like hadn't played live with them until this leg of tour, this short West Coast leg in November of 2015.
Yeah, it's like, this song has like a kind of like a 70s prog rock intro, and the synths come in like super cool and trippy, and that repeated riff is just so catchy and it like lures you in, and then it switches up to the horns, and then this horn solo, like, oh my God, it is so sexy. Like the whole band comes in, it's just so satisfying. I mean, yeah, I was texting you like, I don't know what's happening right now, and you were like, welcome to the Bob Reynolds fan club.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm a card carrying member now, I guess. Like this guy fucking rules. He's incredible. This solo is so good.
It's that incredibly smooth tone he's got that I really, really love. There are some amazing moments that we'll get to in future episodes with him. Episodes. I love his work when he takes on like the Thing of Gold solo. He just sounds so good in all these places, and it's really also interesting to compare it to how Bullock approaches Outlier. When we heard in episode 2 Bullock play on this song, he kind of just tore into it with effects, very, very dirty, very grimy. And this one is just like, it's brighter, obviously, and it's sexier, and it's so different. And also Sput's drumming during this solo is incredible. What I was talking about at the top of the episode, this ability for a song to sound totally different because different people are playing it, and just what they bring to it at each moment is just, it's really fascinating. It's because there's so few bands that are structured like this, it's really unique to them. I think it's just really interesting how the band is structured and how that affects their music. Yeah, definitely. Next up, we've got Young Stuff, another
it's
first
your song. It's your
for
song,
our podcast.
It's your song. I really feel like, how they call you Young Ryan on Twitter? Like Young Stuff could also be like a nickname for you. I'm going to try to, push that.
You could. Yeah, you make that a thing.
I'll make it a thing.
There are a lot of more Snarky Puppy fans closer to my age than there are Fish fans. So,
is that true? That's probably true.
Yeah. I know more people my age who are like actually are into this. So that's cool.
Who are actually into this as opposed to the other stuff you like, which is only like old people
the
stuff.
Other stuff that I try to, shove down the throats of everyone.
Yeah.
But anyway, so young stuff here. I absolutely love this song. I absolutely adore this version. We're going to hear another great one as the bonus track in the next episode. From
nice.
A very different sounding band, of course. That one has a Bob Reynolds solo, which we will,
oh my God.
we'll talk about that.
This is like Christmas when I get to hear like what's coming up because I don't know, and
right.
It's just like so exciting. It's like it's all exciting to me. Yeah,
it's all surprises. So we get this. Bullock takes the first solo. Great solo. You had a really cool analogy for this one.
Yeah, I mean, this song is like one big strut. It's just like you're kind of like it's just a confident, sultry sound. It's like how you feel when and maybe this is just how I feel right now because it's like spring and it's starting to be nice in New York City. It's like when it's New York City and it's like Sunday and you don't have anywhere to be, the sun is out, you're like wearing a great outfit, you're able to have brunch in the West Village. Maybe you'll even have like a Bloody Mary, like something crazy at like 11 a.m. Like it's young stuff. That's young stuff. It's good. It's really good. I love this song too.
And the second half of this one, Michael's bass solo, which is really like this is incredibly improvisational, this second half of the song here. Michael talks about it in the show notes. As Michael develops some melodic ideas over the outro with Justin providing key bass support on the bottom. That is not an accurate representation of what is happening. I would say it's Michael takes a bass solo and Justin's like, do something, do more things. I'm going to do something really cool that makes you do something really cool. And it's so amazing. And then the rest of the band kind of gets in on it a little bit. Like Sput's playing around Michael's solo. Lanzetti's doing some spacey stuff, kind of textures in the background. Very, very full band improvisational. And it's also cool because since it's still technically a bass solo, everyone's kind of hanging back to give Michael more space because, obviously if they're doing too much, you're not going to be able to focus on the bass, which is the focal point of this section of the song.
Which I think is like what really works about these kind of solos in these shows is that it does create space where there's like an unhurried feeling. I mean, this section is so different from what I've heard them do. There's like a falling quality to it. It's really captivating. I had in my notes, like, is this improvised? Because it sounds like it is. And it's just so interesting. It's kind of like edge of your seat music. It's super unhurried. And when a band is like in the pocket like this, there's just like nothing like it. And I kept feeling like that. This moment was one of those, like, they really were feeling it and they were listening to each other in a really incredible way.
And I also love towards the end when Michael turns on his synth effect and he and Justin are kind of like, both on synth bass. And it's like a really cool off-kilter kind of sound.
Yeah, I had
it.
the same exact words, like off kilter. It's just, but in like a good way. It's not boring. It's a really, really original sound.
Yeah.
This is a very, very cool, really cool song, and I'm excited that I get to hear it again next episode.
Yeah.
Different way. Yeah.
It almost goes type 2 here.
Yeah, exactly. We're
It's
almost in our
close.
jam band world. Yeah, I love it.
This is the closest we're gonna get until episode 10. But that's a story for 6 episodes from now.
I'm not there yet.
No, we're not there yet. Next up, we've got Tio Macaco. I don't have a ton to say about this one. I kind of said in the last episode, I don't love this song. I feel like, especially in a show like this where this lineup is so cool, like this takes up 15 minutes of the set with basically 7 or 8 minutes of drum solo, which is cool because Sput and Nate are amazing, as I mentioned, but it's not nearly as engaging as the other music that they're playing.
I mean,
it's
I
fun.
think it has a really nice placement in the set list. I like their songs that are more like funky or sexy or jazzy, but this percussion solo, I mean, the bongos just has this like rolling feeling to it. I think the solo is amazing, and in my head I had just been thinking what I talked about earlier is that the show like seems less about percussion, and then this happens. I'm like, okay. And I'm
Nope.
here like, yeah, never mind. And I'm walking to work this morning listening to this thinking like I just want to like drop everything and just shake my ass. Like it really is dancey. I love it. The crowd is just like roaring, and he's got them in the palm of his hand.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, Nate and Sput are both incredibly talented at what they do.
Yeah.
This is true. Up after that, we get a fairly standard Shofukan, very short, very to the point. This is the only time that Justin plays horns, which means there are no keyboards on this song whatsoever.
Wow.
Which is
I don't think I
interesting.
realized that. That's amazing.
Something to
I
think
love
about.
this song. Yeah, I love this intro. I love how someone's like yelling like, "Hey, hey," and they get this like tribal beat going. This song has really like found its way into my heart. I really like this song. And yeah, this horn solo is just absolutely beautiful. And the way that they
Mm-hmm.
layer this song is just really pretty. Um, and I love the sing along. It's fun. The crowd gets so into it.
It's great, and of course that amazing guitar riff over the last section of it is even more amazing in this one because it's being played by 2 guitarists at the same time. So you're getting it
Yeah.
from both sides in your headphones, which I love. Now we have one of my favorite linguses ever.
Yeah.
With this lingus, they go right into it from Shofukan. There's no encore break yet. They just right into lingus. Yeah, in those initial guitar breaks at the beginning of the song, Lanzetti and Lettieri together sound amazing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more like studio version where you have the layers of guitar on top of each other on that. The horn sound feels super full. Great trading from Maz and Bullock in that section. Yeah, you got anything to say about the first part?
Funky, weird horn sounds. I mean, that sounds really, really cool. It's really
Mm-hmm.
interesting. And then Michael comes in and starts doing the band intros. And I love how they come in during these intros. There's just this deep funk jam under. And
Yeah,
that's when Michael actually mentions Ghost Note. And I was like, wow,
that's
that's
that's that's
amazing.
Justin Sput and Nate there doing some house
Oh,
stuff, which is obviously going to come back in a big way in
yeah.
during the solo. But Justin's key bass is one of the stars of this show for sure.
Yeah,
What
it's
he's
so
doing
good. Yeah, I think, and then Bob comes in with his solo, and
Yeah.
oh my God.
And also, it's so cool because Bob starts his solo by teasing like the horn lines from the end of the song. And then also, Sput plays nothing for the beginning of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like absolutely nothing. So it's just Bob and a synth bass. And then Bob plays a cool lick, and then Justin mimics it. So like different, it's not just a straight Lingus solo here. Like there's interplay happening. And it's cool. This is noted in the show notes. This is the first time that they put a tenor sax on Lingus, which has obviously happened many times since then. But this is cool, trying something new. And they go in a very, very different direction with this one.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I need to know more about this musician. He's so effortless.
He used to play with John Maher.
Really?
Yeah, he went to Berkeley with John Maher, I think, and played with him for a little while. I would recommend to anybody and to you also, he has an album called Guitar Band that was recorded live, similar to how Snarky Puppy does theirs, with Sput on drums, Mark Lettieri on guitar, and a couple other guys who are very, very talented. But this is an amazing, amazing album.
I'm going to check that out. Yeah, he's incredible. He's just so soulful. Yeah, he's just, there's some people that when they play an instrument that requires breath work, you can hear it in a way that it makes it sound so genuine and like from deep inside of them in a way that you can't teach that shit. You can't fake it. You've either got it or you don't. And he's got it.
He's got it.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the bulk of this solo, they're in this house groove again. Sput just throws it into this house groove. Justin, like, just the synth bass is so deep. And this is your kind of Lingus. This is the dance
I'm
Lingus.
into it. I'm into it. Listen, when that beat dropped in, I was like, this is so good. It's like dancey, and the guitar comes in, and this was probably my favorite moment from the show. It's housey, dancey, funk. It's so good. It's just so textured and layered, and it's awesome.
And then we get a little pre-encore spiel from Michael talking about how they've been on tour for the last 3 months, pretty much, which is so. Wow. This whole season so far, these first 4 episodes, Michael, Justin, Maz, and Bullock have all been on tour with no breaks, and they went. They started in Texas, I believe, in mid-September, and then they went from Texas to the East Coast to the West Coast, like stopping in Colorado, I think, too, in September, and then they went to Japan, and then they did a very extensive tour of Europe. They were in Turkey. I think they ended the tour, and then they played a short run in South America in mid-November, and then now they're back here on the West Coast for this run. But he talks about how they are about to, they are just less than a week away from going into the studio to record Culture Vulture, which is really cool. I'm surprised that given that there aren't more band members on this leg. Last year in the few shows leading up to the Empire Central sessions, they had the full horn section, kind of an expanded lineup. So interesting to see, but cool to kind of put in perspective. They've been on tour for 3 months and they still sound this good.
I know. And they're going to finish this tour and go straight to the studio to record. I mean, this
Yeah.
relentless. It's amazing. I'm
Yeah.
impressed. Yeah, no, they sound tight, energized. They do not sound tired at all. It's and I think it's cool too. Michael mentions like that he worked with a jazz group from a local high school, and you can hear those kids like freaking out at the show. And I just think it's really cool that he's recognizing that and acknowledging that and doing stuff like that when they're touring, even after this like grueling touring schedule. And then I thought it was also really neat that he mentioned that the last time they were in Seattle, they played a club that was the size of the stage. So it
Hmm.
just shows like massive growth for them, which
Yeah.
is
Which
pretty
also,
exciting.
it's so funny hearing, from them, like in the old days when they used to play a show where there were more people in the band than in the audience.
Yeah, that's
Which is,
amazing. Yeah.
you have like 10 people on stage and 7 people watching. Like, it's
That
funny.
takes so much courage and
Yeah.
tenacity and persistence to do that. I mean, it's I was an actor in a former life, and I remember doing plays where there are very few people in the audience, and it is very hard to do that. It's
Hmm.
so much easier when there's a packed room and everybody's like cheering for you. It's a lot harder when there's no one out there and you've got to go out there and give it your all anyway. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Bob
amazing.
Lanzetti and I were talking about, before we did the rig tour last week, we were talking about they played a gig at the Rockwood Music Hall in New York in like late 2010, I think. And there are so many of them on such a small stage. And I said, there's some great YouTube footage of a couple of songs from that gig, but you can see like Bob is like straddling his pedal board on stage,
Oh
like
my
he can't even
God.
stand behind him. So you
Yeah.
see, he has to like adjust every time he wants to hit a pedal, and also be make sure he doesn't like knock Justin
Hit
or
somebody
Michael
else.
with his
Yeah.
headstock, like. So they were all so tight on this stage, and so it's really cool to hear about this, and also see them in, obviously you're seeing them at the Beacon Theater in a couple of days,
I've seen him at the Beacon,
which is
like,
awesome.
yeah, like that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they're going to throw down pretty hard.
it's gonna be great, and
Hmm.
we still got 2 songs left to talk about today. So
Awesome.
let's talk about this "What About Me" encore, double guitar. What about me? Thank God for double guitar. What about me? If you listen closely, you can hear them do what they do on the studio recording, which is swap who plays what part when. So Mark plays the melody line on the first go through, as kind of the lead instrument there, and Lanzetti takes the like the rhythmic chords with the horns. Then they swap for the second one. So Mark plays the rhythm part and Lanzetti plays the lead part. Cool to hear that with the guitars and not just one guitar and horns, which is what we usually get.
Yeah, I have to say, when I saw your notes, Ryan, I thought like it says double guitar wham. And at first I was
Oh,
like, wham. Okay, maybe that's like a Canadian like expression, like wham, like this is awesome. But now I get it. It's what about me? It's
yeah.
all making sense now. But this song just opens in such a huge way. I really love the quiet section. It's so eerie and psychedelic with the like resounding drum beat. It almost has this
Mhm.
kind of indie rock feel to it. This solo is so soft and fuzzy, and it's so, so good.
Yeah, but I want to know what combination of pedals Lanzetti was using to make this tone,
I
because
mean,
it's so much fuzz, but it
yeah,
also sounds so compressed, and the way
yeah.
that it just kind of like builds in is
I've
is
never heard
really,
anything
really
like
cool.
it. It's
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah, it's super interesting.
A lot of bends. Justin gets in on the action with some more. Again, Justin Justin on the Moog bass, which I'm gonna compliment him so much when we talk about the drum solo here. But this is like just ends up being a really, really aggressive solo. Um, you know, absolute shred of clock, and it's so funny. It's so distorted and so fuzzy that it almost gets lost behind the horns during the vamp of the solo,
Yeah,
which is really funny.
yeah. It's a nasty solo, and when the band comes back in, it's so great, really
Mhm.
satisfying.
And so this is also a hell of a send off for the this kind of "What About Me" drum solo. For all the versions going forward, we're gonna hear Michael take it instead of the synth bass, and they're not gonna do these crazy modulations and whatnots, which I hope they bring back someday because it's really cool and really fun. And Justin is really good at it, as evidenced here,
Yeah,
where Justin and Sput are just playing off each other. Sput's he could just take a drum solo and leave Justin to do his stuff, whatever. But Sput immediately starts playing with Justin. They're playing off each other. It's clear that they're making eye contact, like at the gig, like they're watching each other, and I'm sure everyone's like smiling, like, holy shit, this is really cool. But Justin varies up what he's playing for the bass line, adds in some chords on the synth. He teases Binky at one point, and Sput is just absolutely insane. Like this is a really long drum solo, but I'm engaged throughout this whole drum solo because there's this interplay happening. Like this is much more engaging and exciting to me than the T.O. drum solo.
Yeah, it's super dynamic. You like to see the band members kind of engaging with each other and egging each other on and encouraging each other and inspiring each other, and that's something you hear in this one. And what a way to end the show.
Yeah. What a way to end the show. Sput, he knew that someday this was going to be the last show of his that we were going to be discussing on a podcast, and so he knew that this would be going out in style. Unfortunately, we don't have the recordings from the rest of this leg of tour are not available online, which I'm very sad about. I hope someday they can find the hard drive with them on it, because I would love to hear more shows with this lineup.
Yeah, me too.
Super cool. Super, super cool. But so we're going to get into today's bonus track, which very different lineup. It's from the week prior in Chile. I've taken the Lingus from November 16th, 2015, because we just had this Bob Reynolds version, and I really, really just want to highlight Bill Lawrence on piano.
Wow. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's so ridiculous. Yeah. You start, and then I'll add to it.
Yeah, thank you. It's so good the way he builds from nothing, just this beautiful classical piano for so long, and it just builds and builds and builds, and then it's this piano. It's amazing. This is actually the first time we hear drummer Jameson Ross. This was his first run with the band ever. This South American run. He does great. We'll see him again in 2018 and 2019 when we get to those shows. But man, this Bill solo is absolutely amazing. Nice percussion from Marcelo, and Bill then switches to synth for the ending part of the solo, and then he was really feeling it so much that after the song ends, he does an extra little synth and Rhodes ending, which I absolutely love. But man, this solo just hits perfectly.
Oh my God, it's so good. And I just looked it up. This show is at the Teatro Nez Cafe de las Arts in Santiago, Chile. So you were right.
There we go.
Yeah, but I loved this Lingus. So different from the one we heard earlier. There's just funky, juicy keyboards. It's super squishy to begin with. It's really rich sounding. It has this great stop moment, which really builds the tension. They're doing lots of cool effects. The audience is clapping, and the drums. It's just really high energy. And then boom, there's just a complete change of pace. They drop to this absolutely gorgeous, romantic piano solo. This band can change on a dime and make you feel like it was inevitable, which I think is very rare. And as he's doing this solo, yeah, it's just absolutely stunning. I mean, it's a must hear if you like Snarky Puppy or you like piano. It's absolutely beautiful. Chimes come over it, really lovely. And the energy in the rest of the song just builds in this really organic way. I think it's just really cool that they can start out with this like funky, juicy kind of synthetic sound and end in this like really organic piano sound. It's really special.
Yeah. And that brings us to the end of the first part of the first season of Things of Gold. We have now reached the end of the We Like It Here era. We are going to be moving on to the Culture Vulture era of the band for the next 4 episodes, starting, of course, with our next episode, which, I'll spoil it now. We're going to be covering 5917 from Brussels. We're going back to Europe. This show is going to be a lot of new songs for us. It's all Culture Vulture except for the usual What About Me and Lingus closers. We're gonna finally get some Larnell Lewis on the drums. We are gonna get Chris McQueen on guitar, who we have not heard from yet. So there's a lot of new to talk about in the next episode, and of course over the next 4 episodes we will be. I think the time periods between episodes are going to start getting a bit longer. We're going to cover 2 years or just short of a year in the span of the next 4 episodes, as opposed to 3 months. But Megan, what are your overall thoughts on this fall 2015 tour and sound?
I mean, I like it here. I'm not ready to leave this era. It's really good. It's
Me
just
too.
it's dynamic. It's amazing. I think it's been a really cool introduction to the band to start kind of chronologically listening, in 2015, and I'm really excited to see where it goes next. I think that's the most interesting thing about this band is it's so dynamic. And yeah, I'm interested to hear how all this new music and this new lineup a year and a half later affects the sound.
Yeah. And we're going 2 whole episodes without a quartermaster, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
Like,
We've covered how many have
there's
we
not
covered?
one today.
We covered a lot.
Well, we had
there
one.
wasn't one today. Yeah.
No, we had 5 in the first 3 episodes, I think it was.
I love that song. I'm here for it.
Yeah, we had 5 in the first 3 episodes. No quartermaster today, no quartermaster in the next episode, but it's coming back. Don't worry.
And I have some new favorites now, so it's all good.
There we go. And the next time we're here, you will have seen the band. We can talk all about your experience at the Beacon this weekend. I'm very excited for you to hear that. Of course, reach out to us on social media. Tell us what you're listening to. Tell us what you think of this show. Share your experience at shows with us as well. Any Snarky Puppy discourse or discussion, we want to hear it. At Things of Gold Pod, give us a follow as well.
Yeah, tag us. Let us know what you're up to. It's been so fun seeing some of these videos from the shows. And it's just exciting that they're at tour while we're doing this. It's really great.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
All right, well, everybody, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Things of Gold. I hope you have a fantastic day, and we will see you next time.